So I think we've got a few things to look up now, so let's go to our notebook. Oh, I got that one already. Do I need to look anything up here? Astrolabe. How does one use that?
The astrolabe was a carefully constructed tool for navigating the heavens. I suppose it could be useful if I got lost in the city and wanted to work out which way was hubwards.
Ah, that's interesting. I've already looked up the thing about the rapid radiance trapezohedron. Let's try it.
I looked for another reference to the radiant trapezohedron and found it in the Encyclopedia Tennius.
Oh yes, I've done this.
400 legend. I hadn't seen Horst since I arranged his meeting with Laredo. Wherever Horst was, he wasn't at his quarters.
Patrician's Palace. See if Leonard of Quirm can help me with any of this. Come over here. Come back over here. Whee! Go to the wall.
It always looked much...
Yeah, I think we've done this already.
When I went back to Leonard's cell, it was lacking a large part of the wall.
Okay.
The disc quake must have taken its toll on the palace. Leonard and two conkers were still working on the flapping wing flying device like nothing had happened.
Let's go to them then.
Just a few more questions, if you wouldn't mind.
Where's that one?
Have you heard of the radiant trapezohedron? What is this being? Well, I don't really know. It's a source of great power. That's the only thing I'm sure about. What is being a trapezohedron to mean?
It's a type of crystal in which all the faces are trapeziums.
And a trapezium? A type of quadrilateral with no parallel sides.
No, that's a trapezoid.
No, a trapezoid has two parallel sides of different lengths.
That's a trapezium.
No, it's not.
Where are your family from anywhere near Genua?
My grandfather was. What's that got to do with anything?
Genuine geometry has slightly different definitions to Ephebian geometry. I tend to go by Legibus's definitions in his geometries. Have you read it?
This trapezodendron. Trapezohedron. All sides would be consisting of squashed squares.
Well, that's a slightly crude summary, but essentially correct.
That's it. That's the jewel I am being seeking.
Really?
Much yesness. Just like that is being, but with gold platings.
Ooh.
And you were looking for this, right? How close were you to finding it? I am of some sureness that it is to being in Ankh-Morpork, and I am of the believing that this arrangement of stars is of great importantude in its discoverage. Can I see that? Please, take if you wishing. I am not to be having much chances to look myself now. I would be of delighted nature if you would continue the looking for me.
Ooh, got something there. Thank you, that was very useful. And there's this thing. Let's go back to the library and investigate that. If I can find out what that group of stars is, I might be able to use the observatory.
The library had a large collection of books on astrology. Because the disk is situated on a giant turtle that flies through space, the arrangement of the stars changed every few decades. The constellations in front and behind the turtle stayed more or less the same,
but the constellations at the side changed with enough frequency that a new volume of Paddy Moore's The Night Sky
Paddy Moore.
had to be published almost every other year. In the most recent volume, I found the stars from Two Conquer's map. Unfortunately, I didn't learn anything particularly useful, except that the alignment shown would only occur at a particular point in time. If the book was right, the time was now.
Cool. Okay, let's go to the observatory then. So I've got the mosaics on the floor. Can we use this thing with the mosaics?
I looked at the stars
Oh, yes.
and back to the mosaics. The map seemed to include a constellation. All I had to do was find out which one and tell the golem to move the telescope to look at it. Well, it was a plan of sorts.
I think it's this one over here. Oh, it's a small boring group of faint stars. Oh, that's the one Winston was born under.
I suppose the small, boring group of faint stars might have been on the map, but if they were, they'd been drawn much brighter than they really were. Swing the telescope around to face the small, boring group of faint stars.
Cool. I'm sure that's the one. Now let's look at the telescope.
The stars seem to be pointing at the Salachi Mausoleum. If the map was right, the jewel was somewhere inside.
Cool. Should be able to go and get it. There's a reason why it was still the
The
sky.
central atrium of the mausoleum opened up so that you could see the sky. I guess on some nights it must have been quite a beautiful sight. But this wasn't one of those nights. I liked the sky as much as the next man. But it wasn't exactly something I could pick up and put in my pocket.
No, but I have something I can use to look at it through. There we are.
I used the astral ray to see exactly where Two Conquer's map pointed.
Is that it?
They seemed to be indicating a grotesque in the entrance chamber.
Oh yes. A grotesque.
I don't know who thought it was tasteful to make carved statues that were part human and part mythical beast, but frankly I thought they looked awful. I searched the grotesque carefully and concluded that it was a cover stone for something underground.
Did that do
I
anything?
pushed it,
Oh.
opening up the crypt below. The stale air told me that this chamber hadn't been visited in hundreds of years. In the gloom, I could make out a single sarcophagus.
Sweet.
The sarcophagus didn't look like any recent design. In fact, I was surprised to see one in Ankh-Morpork at all. It must have been imported from somewhere. The lid of the sarcophagus was sealed shut.
What's this?
On the sarcophagus was a circular indentation with a square peg coming out of it.
Oh, that does sound familiar. Where's this thing we've been carrying all this time? There it is.
Mundy's coin fitted the indentation perfectly.
Yes.
With it, I could easily turn the peg. There was a faint click, and the sarcophagus opened. Inside the sarcophagus was a suit of armor, grasping a glowing gem that could only be the radiant apposite moon.
Oh dear.
I wasn't expecting the armor to burst into life, though.
Thanks a lot. 400 years I wait for you to come and let me out. And the first thing you do is cut my arm off. It'll take ages to sew back on.
I'm sorry. I just sort of acted reflexively.
So you instinctively cut the arm off people you meet.
If they come bursting out of a coffin, yes.
It's a sarcophagus. A very nice sarcophagus. Donated to the Order by some nice people. In Jelly Baby.
Jelly baby.
And you're vitally impaired.
Vitally impaired? What's that supposed to mean?
Means you're dead.
Call a spade a spade. I'm a zombie. Right.
If that's the way you want it, I need that jewel.
I'm sure you do. But first, you must answer the riddle
Oh dear.
and prove your worth.
The riddle?
Indeed. Are you ready, mortal?
This is ridiculous. I'm in a real hurry and I need that jewel.
Oh, please. I've been here for 400 years. Please let me ask the riddle.
Make it fast.
All right. What is... Oh, bugger. I've forgotten it.
You've forgotten it?
Well, it has been 400 years. You see how good your memory is after 4 centuries. Especially when you've got mice.
Can I have the jewel or not?
No. I have to ask the riddle. How else am I going to know if you're a follower of the dark cults?
Okay.
Let me get this straight. You can tell if I'm a follower of the dark cults by whether or not I can answer a riddle.
Absolutely.
So how does that work then? Are the forces of darkness incapable of answering riddles?
I'm sure the gods would never allow the unworthy to gain control of this.
Interesting theory. Look, I need that jewel, and you're just going to have to find a way to give it to me.
The Order decided that we'd ask a riddle to determine the worthiness of anyone petitioning for the trapezohedron. I have to ask a riddle.
You mentioned the Order.
Yes. The Order of the Sacred Tulip. You must have heard of us.
Let me guess. You went out on rampaging crusades across other people's nations with some spurious religious purpose, and came back having stolen a fortune from so-called inferior nations, and then started getting involved in ecclesiastical politics on the proceeds,
Those were the days. Yep. You got it in one.
And the Order buried you with the trapezohedron.
That's right. They needed a guardian. And I volunteered.
You volunteered to be buried with the jewel for hundreds of years?
I thought it'd look good on my record.
Riddles.
Can't you just make a riddle up?
Well, there was one specific riddle I was supposed to be asking.
But since you can't remember it, you need a new plan. Why not just make one up?
All right. What is... No. Sorry. I can't do it. My mind's a blank. You know what it's like when you're under pressure to perform. You just can't do it.
The city is going to be destroyed because you don't perform well under pressure. I don't believe this.
Do I have anything in here that might be useful? Nope, that's all scrubbed out. That's all scrubbed out. You still about? That's all scrubbed out. Okay. Okay. What about this?
What do you know about the goddess Errata?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, guess not.
This isn't over. I'll be back.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll see you then. I'm good at always being in one place.
We got anything here?
I'd picked up the theater flyer from the Disc Theater. It told me about the plays in the Disc's current season.
Nothing with right. I wonder if I can give him one of
Just
these.
give me the jewel!
dear.
You know I can't.
Can I give you anything from here?
Stick to the matter in hand, I think.
Guess not. What about this?
Look, I have the golden falchion. Surely that counts for something.
Oh, I knew you had the sword, but that's no help. If you're on the side of darkness and you have the falchion, then I definitely can't give you the jewel.
How did you know I had the sword?
Cut him off with it. Cut
I
his arm.
saw you coming in the jewel.
Really? Did you see anything else?
Oh, I've been watching the progress of the sword since I got here.
In which case you must have seen Mundy hide the sword in the crate, and me recover it from Vault 51.
Yes, I did.
So, you saw me killed by Anu Anu.
Oh, yeah. That big dog creature. How did you survive that, by the way?
Carlotta had turned me into a werewolf.
I thought it might be something like that. They never give you the whole story with those cliffhanger endings. I remember 200 years ago when I saw someone go off the cliff in a cart. Only it turned out he actually leapt clear at the last minute. I call that cheating.
Anyway, did you see when Anu Anu summoned Nylonathotep?
Oh, I see. That's what the big cosmic horror was then.
What did you think it was?
Well, I thought it might just have been fog. The reception in here isn't very good.
If you saw all that, you must know that I'm not with the forces of darkness.
Hang on. You were there when this cosmic horror was summoned?
Yes.
Then why didn't you stop it?
I was being restrained. Come on, just give me the jewel.
No can do.
You saw me defeat Satrap, wasn't that enough? Didn't you hear what he said?
No sound with the jewel, I'm afraid. You just get pictures.
Do you know what's most ridiculous about this? If I was with the dark sect, I'd just use the sword to kill you, and then just run off with the jewel.
You know, that's a very good point.
So I'll tell you what I'll do. Either give me the jewel freely, or I'll pretend I'm with the dark sect and I'll just take it.
You're not leaving me many options.
Jewel, please.
Here you go.
That was a nice little red herring there.
Thank you. And may I say, I hope the next 400 years just fly by.
I have it. Can I use it with the thing?
The trapezohedron fitted into the pommel perfectly, but I wanted to wait until the right moment to do it.
Okay, guess not. Let's leave this establishment.